My thoughts here can pretty much be summed up by what is this and why is this? Hi everyone, today we'll be reviewing the fifth solo studio album by pop legend Justin Timberlake, Man of the Woods. Self-described as modern Americana with 808s, many people, including myself, worried about Justin Timberlake shifting to a more country Americana sound from his usual R&B flavored pop music, especially something that he seemed to have reached his peak potential of with the 2020 experience. So I do suppose he wanted a new direction from there if he felt like he had sort of conquered that genre. And we get country now. It's basically acoustic heavy R&B if we're being perfectly honest, but there are a few very twangy, interesting, and not so great moments on this record. Let's talk about Man of the Woods. Okay, so I made a video on Filthy, the lead single, when it came out a few days after New Year's, I believe, and it's still awful. It's still fucking awful. If you know what's good, no, Justin, it's not that. The odd dubstep synth that goes throughout the whole song just feels so dated. There's, like, this weird guitar lick that happens at the very beginning. That's, like, the only good part here. The dubstep is awful. The lyrics are actually pretty damn awful, too. With Justin's, "No, this ain't the clean version," he says on a song with no swears in it. I get the pun with the put your fucking hands all over me thing and how it's not the clean version. It's still stupid, and someone had to explain it to me. The following song is Midnight Summer Jam. Also not a fan of that one. He sounds really awkward over just the strummed acoustic guitar. It doesn't fit his vocal style. And the beginning is just so awkward with the "y'all can't do better this, act like the South ain't the shit," and then those little auto-tuned yelps that kind of punctuate the act like the South ain't the shit parts until he goes into the Midnight Summer Jam thing, which feels like Prince doing country, which is what most of this album feels like, except it's awful. And I would never call anything that Prince has done awful. But sorry, JT, most of this is awful. He does do pretty decently in places. I'm not going to say that none of this is good. I'm not going to be overly negative. There are highlights here. Flannel is a nice, more sentimental tune, written from the perspective of his stepfather as if he was writing it to Justin. It's a nice family song, and the acoustic-based instrumentation feels less awkward. It would be a lot nicer if it had just stayed with the acoustic instrumentation and didn't have, like, the sort of whirring trap percussion just kind of barely punctuating the background. God, that's annoying. I like the hard stuff. That is a more classic Justin. It sounds like something that could have been on, like, Future Sex Love Sounds with a little bit more of a twang, but it's got that kind of pop rock balladry feel, maybe even more of a Justified thing, but with a little more twang to it than Justified was more of a disco record. And then the song after that, the closing track, Young Man, which is a song to his son, also featuring a vocal sample from his son, is very nice. Those songs, Emotional Stakes, being Flannel, The Young Man, and The Hard Stuff, are three of the better songs on the record, three of the best songs on the record, just because there's some real emotion put into it, and the instrumentation doesn't sound completely awful. The best track, by far, however, is Say Something, featuring Chris Stapleton. I just adore Chris Stapleton. I adore his music. From A Room, Volume 1 and 2 were some of the best albums of last year, the best country album of last year, closely followed by Jason Isbell, but I don't know. Chris Stapleton, it's barely country. It's country and blues and soul and rock and this weird little... I can just go on and on. But he does really well adding flavor to this Justin track. Their voices don't go together perfectly, but they go together well enough. Justin sounds good. Stapleton sounds great. And they kind of make this nice little pop country ballad, and it's a pop country song that doesn't make me want to die, and how rare is that in the 2010s? But then there's some more awful stuff just apart from Filthy and Midnight Summer Jam. We have Sauce, which is just the worst song Justin Timberlake has ever recorded. I'm going to go right ahead and say that. It's weird, kind of country bluegrass type feel that's just awful lyrically. Why are you singing about this girl having all the sauce in 2018. Why are you singing about that in general? That little spoken word bit at the beginning is awful. It sounds weird in the context of the fact that most of the country on this album has more of a laid-back feel to it. But no, this one goes all out with the sort of hillbilly twang thing, and it's annoying. Higher Higher is a song here that was produced by the Neptunes, who's Justin Timberlake's normal production. Pharrell and I can't remember his name. And they actually bring Higher Higher, a decent song. Not a great song, but a decent song. One of the ones here that didn't make me audibly groan when I first heard it. I mean, the stuff on Justified was obviously really nice, and most of that was done by the Neptunes. Wave is that 50-50 country trap song I was worried about. Flannel leaned a little too heavy on the country. Songs like Supplies lean a little too heavy on the trap to be 50-50, but no, Wave tries its best to merge the two. Fails awfully. Alicia Keys does pretty well on her part on Morning Light, but seems pretty boring to me too. Although, speaking of the Neptunes and Pharrell and Supplies is a flawed song. It shouldn't be as enjoyable to me as it is. I shouldn't like Supplies, but I do kind of like Supplies. Pharrell burring in the background for 4 minutes is not exactly something that I find pleasant to listen to, but the song might be a little stupid, but I like the kind of almost Eastern feel the beginning instrumentation has. I like how Justin sounds. The first time I heard it, I didn't like it at all, but it kind of slowly grew on me. It was definitely an interesting listen, and with some of the worst lyrical moments like the "We'll be living in the Walking Dead" thing, or "I'm the generator, turn me on when you need electricity." None of it's perfect, but all in all, it's catchy, and it's kind of funny, so I give it a pass. I'm going to give this album just a light 4 out of 10. It's the best I can do. This hurts coming from a Timberlake fan, someone who would have given the 2020 Experience, both parts probably like an 8 or a 9. It hurts to see this much of a fall for someone who's one of the more iconic, if not the most iconic, male pop star of this century. If you loved or hated it, or anything in between, please let me know why down below. I love listening to others' opinions. I'm perfectly always happy to discuss with you guys what you thought about the album. Remember, it's just all opinion, and it's fun seeing what other people think sometimes too. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye, everyone.